The Molecular Educators are a remarkable group of mostly students, former and current students that have been here at UCLA. Includes my daughters, Elena and Kaylee, a very good old friend of mine, Daniel Caspi, who's developed IT platforms for a lot of our resources. I think there are about 28 team members of the Molecular Educators team, and they've all contributed to developing resources that can be used by people all over the world.
So each of the resources that we've kind of showcased have different missions individually, but I think all are trying to make chemistry more interactive and relatable to students.
It's all about making chemical education fun. It's about making it available to everybody all over the world. It's about increasing engagement and, of course, making sure people learn.
A lot of different people all across the world, and that includes people in Iceland, Trinidad and Tobago,
Cameroon,
Kazakhstan, all across the world. So it was really exciting to reach out to them, and I think they were really excited to start using them.
We were thinking about them from the standpoint of education. How do we teach something? And then when we have conversations with Dan, he takes it to that level of how do we create something, and he's thinking about the technology, but he also understands the chemistry.
I feel like COVID has made everyone very aware of what a QR code is, how to use it, how to access it.
And we had this idea.
What if you could turn that into a chemistry molecule and look at it on your phone in 3 dimensions? And the idea was that, in a lecture hall, you'd have a QR code on the screen, and then everyone in the lecture hall could hold up their phone and then take a look at it in 3D.
And the idea is to move away from these plastic handheld model kits that all the students buy, and instead give them a free resource that lets them interact with molecules on their smartphone.
I think the ability to have an instant visualization tool that the students can immediately pull up on their smartphone, because it's probably a mode of visualization and learning that they're not familiar with.
Much of our efforts lean more and more into the space of virtual reality. And that's because so much of what we do in organic chemistry is 3-dimensional visualization.
I remember putting them together, and it was always a struggle getting them apart again, and it just took a long time to build one little molecule.
Yeah, I remember bringing in some beastly natural product that the lab had made, and then I brought it into the virtual environment, and I just expanded it. I just made it huge, and I went inside.
It really feels like you're in the room with the molecule, interacting with it as if it were a giant physical model. It's pretty incredible.
We teach students how to do these manipulations, and we teach students what these molecules look like in 3 dimensions. And typically they do this by manipulating these plastic model kits. Rather than using molecular model kits like these, how do we just use free technology? How do we develop free technology that puts students in the driver's seat, if you will, so they can use their smartphone, use their computers in order to understand 3-dimensional structures of molecules? We have written a series of children's books. Most of them are coloring books. The first one is really fun. It was created with my daughters, and the idea actually came out of little Kaylee, who gave me an attitude about eating a hot dog and asked if there were chemicals in the hot dog. So we had a lot of fun with this, and it turns out she now realizes and appreciates that there's chemicals everywhere, all around her. So this one says, what's a chemical in our cotton clothes? And then on the other side it says cellulose. And there's a little mouse character that's here that tells you a little bit more about it.
And now it'll ask us to assign priorities for each of the...
Most simply, we really care about these resources being used by other people. So if the prize puts attention on these resources such that others can use them, that's just a great thing, and that's ultimately why we've created these. We hope these resources will help people in real time. But what we really care about in the bigger picture is how this impacts people and their perception of science. The Molecular Educators team in general feels that it is important that we just educate people in all things science.